This video is for anyone interested in motorcycles, but particularly, of course, Moto Guzzis. I make no apologies for the length of this video. It is not meant to be a comprehensive guide to the exhibits or the tour, just an overview of what you would see if you booked one of Moto Guzzi's free private tours. Yeah, free. Could you see Ducati doing that? Welcome to the Moto Guzzi Museum tour in the town of Mandello del Lario. So, we're driving south along the eastern shores of Lake Como towards Mandello del Lario, the shoreside town that has been the home of Moto Guzzi for over 100 years. The scenery here is absolutely beautiful, and the thought of riding along this gorgeous road on my Grigio instead of driving, even if it was in a bath, had me waxing lyrical to my long-suffering wife. This tour took place in late September 2024. The museum is still in its traditional location and contains more than 150 unique Moto Guzzi motorcycles, each of which represents a chapter in the brand's history and innovation. In fact, innovation is something that comes up time and time again in this tour. Moto Guzzi gives private, free tours from Monday to Thursday and public ones on Friday and Saturday. The private tours are to very small groups. They are free, but booking is required. That said, it was well worth it. The Moto Guzzi Museum smells like an old mechanic shop. It's such an authentic place and leaves you with a sense of community, history, and nostalgia. If you've ever been to the Brooklands Motor Racing Museum in the UK, then you will know the vibe. As mentioned, the museum is located in Mandello del Lario. It's a picturesque shoreside town with plenty of Guzzi history. Guzzi is the star attraction here, as you can see on many signs with businesses named after it, and even a roundabout with a Moto Guzzi V8 sculpture positioned at its center. As you draw up to the factory, you see the famous red door, and your heart beats just that little bit quicker. The idea for Moto Guzzi came from three men, two decorated First World War pilots, Giovanni Ravelli and Giorgio Parodi, and a mechanic called Carlo Guzzi. The trio agreed to create a motorcycle company at the end of the war. Unfortunately, Ravelli was killed just after the war in an engine-out aircraft incident. Parodi's father was a ship magnate and bankrolled the formation of Moto Guzzi on March 15th, 1921, in Genoa, Italy. In memory of Giovanni Ravelli, they chose the Italian pilot's eagle as the logo. The factory was built in Mandello del Lario later in 1921. So famous was Giovanni Ravelli as a daredevil racer and aviator, Death Machines of London created a bike called the Air Force as a tribute in his honor. The custom Moto Guzzi Le Mans Mark II is to celebrate the 130-year anniversary of Ravelli's birth. Outside the factory, Ravelli is depicted hurtling along the shores of Lake Como on a Premier 500. In the background, if you look carefully, you can see his Newport aircraft in which he lost his life. After you.
Grazie. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Our guide is one of many volunteers. He was excellent. His English is better than my Italian, but sometimes it can be difficult to follow, but he welcomes questions. During the tour, the overall impression you are left with from Moto Guzzi is that they are always innovators and very proud. You will see and hear about that frequently.
Sorry for my English. This is a prototype before the factory made after the First World War. In the First World War, three men, three friends, Ravelli, Parodi and Guzzi.
This is the first Moto Guzzi motorcycle, and it was developed from 1919 to 1921. It's a prototype called the GP500, developed by Carlo Guzzi and his brother Giuseppe and Giorgio Parodi, with his cousin Angelo in Genoa before the factory was built in Mandello del Lario on Lake Como. Seeking to eliminate hand-pumped lubrication systems and exposed primary drive chains, Guzzi cast the engine in aluminum as a unit with the 3-speed gearbox. Its helical gear primary drive and considerably over square engine dimensions deviated from what was normal in that period. Again, innovation. Laying the engine in a horizontal in the frame aided engine cooling. Again, innovation. This also allowed for a low-slung chassis, while the geared primary drive saw the engine rotate in reverse direction, another unusual feature at the time. To smooth out vibration and enable a more compact crankcase unit, a large flywheel was mounted externally. The lubrication system was exceptionally advanced, with the oil pump driven from the camshaft. First model feature's name was Normal. The engine type, of course, was a 4-stroke horizontal single. It made 8 horsepower at 3200 RPM.
This is solution for normal production. One valve in the ear, exhaust.
This is the production version of that bike. It was called, as I said, the Normal, and it had 1 intake valve and 1 exhaust valve. What a gorgeous looking bike it was. Very easy to manufacture.
For starting the production in Moto Guzzi, in factory. This is the first Moto Guzzi rear suspension.
You Norge owners out there might be very interested in this. This was the first Moto Guzzi motorcycle with a rear swing arm suspension. It was the GT Norge, which was tested in 1928. The GT Norge was the first production Moto Guzzi with a rear suspension. It was tested by Giuseppe Guzzi, Carlo Guzzi's brother, on a 4,000-mile journey from Mandello del Lario, Italy, to Capo Nord in Norway to test the suspension and other parts of the Moto Guzzi Norge. It was raced on the Isle of Man TT, and from that they decided to strengthen the frame, and now you know the history of the Moto Guzzi Norge.
He's after he's go for production.
Did you see the pride there? These guys love their jobs, and they love the bikes. Were all the beginning bikes red, Rosso?
Red is Italian color, so racing Italian color. But is typical for Moto Guzzi red.
Red, okay.
In all the time, Amaranto, the first bike green. After Second War, before and after Second War, starting the red bike.
Okay.
Now for I think I remember winning in sport.
Yes.
Big wheel is the first scooter big wheel in the world.
After World War II, Italian roads were bad, and people were, as you can imagine, very poor. Moto Guzzi decided to design bikes with that in mind, so they came up with their first 2-stroke and 4-stroke Moto Guzzi scooters with large wheels for the poor roads. The other scooter had a 4-stroke 160cc to 192cc single-side swing arm with a spare tire on the front to act as a crash guard for the bike. They were made of aluminium. Amazing. Single-sided swing arm.
Single-sided.
Yeah. Cool.
I think he said people were working for cars. They wanted to buy cars after the war. So they just concentrated on making small bikes, not big ones, because people didn't want big bikes.
You may not be aware of it, but Moto Guzzi are going through some heavy-duty renovations in their factory and eventually in the museum with a lot of Piaggio money. Moto Guzzi, for a long period of their history, have almost been broke several times, and this is very good news.
After today, for 5-6 months busy, closed for a new building, for revolution in Moto Guzzi.
Will the new building be here or somewhere?
Yes, looking on the floor, looking. Is all the mechanic working? Is crashed 5 years ago. Now is assembly new building.
What will that slow down the production of Moto Guzzi, or have you? So when you're making Moto Guzzis, will you have to stop making Moto Guzzis?
Stop in 5 days.
5 months.
4 weeks. October, March.
Oh, okay.
Well, you heard it here first. The old factory is in the process of being demolished, if it hasn't been already, and the new one is being constructed as we speak. Moto Guzzi production will stop for 5 to 6 months until March 2025. I'm not sure what that means for parts in the short term, but in the long term, hopefully it's a massive improvement given my recent experience. He went on to tell us they'll continue to use the old wind tunnel, the model of which you can see him pointing at right now, with new computers, more digitized, and a better propulsion system.
Analogic system. It's
Yeah.
all the system.
Moto Guzzi have this room, which is full of engines. Not all of the engines they've ever produced, but some of the more famous ones and some of the rarer ones. Take a look at the one here that I'll just skip by there. I'll come back to it in a minute. Guzzi also have a connection to the Fiat 500, or the Cinquecento as they call it, a derivation of the car that I drove here in, which is interesting. Hopefully the next views won't upset too many Guzziisti, but it appeals to me seeing as I own a Z900 RS. These are two Guzzi inline 4-cylinder engines. The first one was a 250cc and the second one was a 350cc. Just amazing. Fiat put a tender out for an engine for their Fiat 500, or Cinquecento as they call it. Moto Guzzi's engine for the Fiat 500 is right there in front of you. It was actually a 600cc engine. Fiat, though, turned it down and went with a 500cc from a different company. Funny, though, that everybody is now boring them out to 600cc's, isn't it? This next engine that you can see now caught my attention. It's a triple. This was developed in 1981 and 1982 by Lino Tonti, and it displaces 992cc's.
Yeah, I had never seen the triple.
Nah, didn't know it existed. Didn't know it was a
Triumph want to keep this under wraps. They don't want anyone to know.
It's got 3 cylinders set at 65 degrees. The valves were pushrod operated from 2 cams in the block by the central cylinder. It was equipped with 3 30mm Del Autos. The factory identifier for this engine was W103. It was never developed past what we saw there. Guzzi have quite the history with creating motorcycles for police forces around the world, including Italy and, of course, California. They've got 2 displays of many different police bikes and also military bikes. One of the military bikes you'll see is one that has skis on it and a front-wheel drive as well as rear-wheel drive and a parking brake to make sure it can't slide off. Needless to say, it didn't really take off with too many militaries around the world, but it was used in the Dolomites and the Alps in northern Italy by the Italians themselves. Good to see more recent models like the 850 TT have been pressed into action.
Grizzo engine. Yeah.
You recommend investing in a couple of cylinder guards there?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing that.
I've seen them on the internet. I thought, oh, I should get them one
Yeah,
day.
they're actually low profile. You don't see too much. They
No,
just go around. Whether they actually do any good, I don't know. But I'm not going through that again. It's been 6 months.
In the name of authenticity, I'll stop talking for most of this and let it play out. I have edited it in parts, but there are some gorgeous bikes to see. I will pipe up when something really particularly special to me comes up. Well, anyone who knows me knows that one of my favorite bikes of all time is the Moto Guzzi Le Mans. I don't really care what mark or what cc. I just fell in love with them as a kid and I've never really got over it. Hence the Grezzo that I have. But wow, are these ever good looking bikes to me. I really enjoyed being in their presence. That's a very, very important bike right there.
È il record mondiale su pista, ma
100 kilometers an hour, or 75 cc's, wow.
Le replica, the pipe, spessore.
Very small.
This is under 1 millimeter.
Wow.
The replicas is 1 millimeter and 2 decimal. Allora, another sound is come il sound the tromba.
Yeah.
Is change the sound.
Oh wow.
Questo is similar to stroke. Quell'altro è più semplice. Suzuki 4-cylinder GP.
Oh yeah. High revving. Yeah.
It's beautiful sound.
Yeah.
For 8-cylinder.
Wow.
Poi small pipe.
I asked, do they all run still?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Nearly 98%, 90%, 9 su 9 su 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 of them runs.
Ma dopo magari for start
It's great they can still get it to work.
Yeah. It's great they're willing to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
for start quello dopo questo così magneto. Only this magneto is good for this bike. Allora
Interchangeable, so you can use them on different bikes.
in testing for little distance.
Yes.
8 cylinder.
Oh wow.
Qua fino a
On the track.
only little track in Moto Guzzi for go to Isle of Man.
Oh, yeah.
For qui fino a start. Surprise.
It was very light and easy.
Very light, but the engine is elastic.
Oh wow.
It
revs so easily.
No problem. Invece no. This bicycle.
Yeah.
It's very modern for this time.
Yeah. Chain drive, as was the 8-cylinder, which is interesting. Quite a few chain drive bikes down here.
Around what circuit?
Very difficult.
Oh yeah, before BMW. Because BMW have got the old single either side, right? Yeah. So this is the first winner of the Isle of Man, non-English winner of the Isle of Man TT. A Mabono Tenny. That's why some of the colour schemes I think are called the Tenny colour scheme. So I had one of my subscribers talk to me about this bike as being the most beautiful of all Moto Guzzi's, and I'd have to agree. It surpasses even the old Le Mans 850. That is absolutely gorgeous. I imagine people at Ducati were committing hara-kiri when they saw this out, although I don't think many were made. There are the stats.
Yeah, goes in the snow.
Is possible for North European army, possible bike. Allora testing the solution for the snow for the North European.
Named after the town. Yeah, and then here we go. You should recognize the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tempt me.
Red one of these parked up in the main street yesterday. It looked nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
I like the car. I've always liked the
Yeah, I like that colour.
the colour scheme. It's 1400 cc's. Look at the size of that. It's all carbon. This. Still, all carbon. It's 341 kg. Maybe not.
Needless to say, we both really enjoyed our visit to the Moto Guzzi Museum, and I hope you enjoyed this very abbreviated tour. I picked out a few bikes. I can't call any my favorite. There are too many nice bikes in this museum for me to identify my personal favorite, but I have included one bike from Canada, someone I recently visited. Can you spot your own bike? It's museum quality. What a gorgeous bike it is. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is the BlueMarbleRider, out.